Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam 9:10-15. Kamam Prayahi Jahi Vishwavaso Avameham Trilokya Ravanam Avapnuti Vira Patnim Padnihi Setum Iha Te Yashaso Tatyai Gayanti Digvijayano Yam Upetya Bhupaha Kamam Prayahi Jahi Vishwavaso Vameham Trilokya Ravanam Avapnuti Virapatnim Padni Setumihite Ihate Yashaso Vitatyai Gayanti Digvijayano Yamupetya Bhupaha Kamam Prayahi Jahi Vishwavaso Vameham Trilokya Ravanam Avapnuti Virapatnim Padni Setumihita Yashaso Vitatyai Gayanti Digvijayano Yamupetya Bhupaha
Kamam Prayahi Jahi Vishwavaso Vameham Trilokya Ravana Virapatni Badnihi Setumihite Yashaso Vitatyai Gayanti Digvijayano Yamupetya Bhupaha
Kamam Prayahi Jahi Vishwavaso Vameham Trilokya Ravanam Avapnuhi Virapatnim Padni Setumihate Yashaso Vitatyai Gayanti Digvijayano Yam Upetya Bhupaha
Kamam Prayahi Jahi Vishwavaso Vameham Trilokya Ravanam Avapnuhi Virapatnim Badnihi Setumihate Yashaso Vitatyai Gayanti Digvijayano Yamupetya Bhupaha
Kamam Prayahi Jahi Vishwavaso Vameham Trilokya Ravanam Avapnuhi Virapatnim Padni setum ihate yashaso vitatyai.
Padni setum ihate yashaso vitatyai.
Gayanti digvijayino yamupetya bhuta.
Gayanti digvijayino yamupetya bhuta.
Ladies.
Kamam prayahi jai vishwavaso gameham. Trailokya ravanam avapnuhi virapatnim. Padnihi setum ihate yashaso vitatyai. Gayanti digvijayino yamupetya bhuta.
Kamam, as you like. Prayahi, you may go over my water.
You may go over my water.
Jahi, just conquer.
Just conquer.
Vishwavasaha, of Vishrava Muni. Avameham, pollution, like urine. Trailokya, for the three worlds. Ravanam, the person known as Ravana. The cause of weeping. Avapnuhi, regain. Vida, O great hero. Patnim, your wife. Padnihi, just construct. Setum, a bridge. Iha, here, on this water. Te, of your good self. Yashasaha, fame. Vitatyai, to expand. Gayanti, will glorify. Digvijayanaha, great heroes, who have conquered all directions. Yam, which, bridge. Upetya, coming near. Upaha, great kings. My Lord, you may use my water as you like. Indeed, you may cross it and go to the abode of Ravana, who is the great source of disturbance and crime for the three worlds. He is the son of Vishrava, but is condemned like urine. Please go kill him, and thus regain your wife, Sita Devi. O great hero, although my water presents no impediment to your going to Lanka, please construct a bridge over it to spread your transcendental fame. Upon seeing this wonderfully uncommon deed of your lordship, all the great heroes and kings in the future will glorify you. Purport. It is said that a sun and urine emanate from the same source, the genitus. When a son is a devotee or a great learned person, the seminal discharge for begetting a son is successful. But if the son is unqualified and brings no glory to his family, he is no better than urine. Here, Ravana is compared to urine because he was a cause of disturbances to the three worlds. Thus, the ocean personified wanted him killed by Lord Ramchandra. One feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramchandra, is omnipotence. The Lord can act without regard to material impediments or inconveniences. But to prove that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and was not merely advertised as Godhead or elected by popular vote, he constructed a wonderful bridge over the ocean. Nowadays it has become fashionable to create some artificial God who performs no uncommon activities. A little magic will bewilder a foolish person into selecting an artificial God because he does not understand how powerful God is. Lord Ramchandra, however, constructed a bridge over the water with stone and making the stone float. This is proof of God's uncommonly wonderful power. Why should someone be accepted as God without displaying extraordinary potency by doing something never been done by any common man? We accept Lord Ramchandra as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he constructed this bridge. And we accept Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he lifted Govardhan Hill when he was only 7 years old. We should not accept any rascal as God or an incarnation of God, for God displays special features in his various activities. Therefore the Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha chakvadeham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving his body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. The activities of the Lord are not common. They are all transcendentally wonderful and not able to be performed by any other living being. The symptoms of the Lord's activities are all mentioned in the Shastras, and after one understands them, one can accept the Lord as he is. Om Ajnana Timidantasya Nanjana Shalakaya Chakshurniditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gitapalkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Stam Siddhimam Satvaitam Savatutam Pradijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Shavana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashabhanu Sute Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kopaturubhyascha Kripasindho Pyevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauravarendra Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Jyoti Vishwavaso Vameham Trilokya Ravanam Avapnagi Vira Patnim Padnihi Setumihite Ihate Yashaso Vitakjai Gayanti Dig Vijayino Yamukecha Upaha. Kamam Priyadi, you can do as you like. This is the personality of God. He can do as he likes. And Ravanam, Vishwavaso, Avameham, Trilokya Ravan, Vinashaya Chuduskritam, can destroy this useless demon. The child who brings no credit to his family is compared to urine, or who brings discredit. From the genitals you get progeny, or you get urine. And the child who's Kodna Vidvan, the Dharmaka, Shankya Pandit says that a son who's neither learned nor a devotee of the Lord is like a blind eye. Blind eye is useless except for giving pain. So the child who's neither learned nor Krishna conscious, he's just a source of trouble, otherwise useless. Therefore, one has to be very serious to bring children into this world. Gururna Sasya, Jananina Sasya. One has to make them Krishna conscious, that's the point. Otherwise, what is the use? There are already so many children in this world. We hear there are too many. So just to produce more children who are not Krishna conscious is not a useful contribution. Patnim Banihi Setum Vira Patnim Setum Iha Yashasa. You can, you don't need to do anything. My water doesn't obstruct you. But you can do something wonderful just to create a subject matter for hearing. And this is the personality of Godhead. He Vikra, what is that? Vikram, Gurukram. He does wonderful things. Otherwise, just anyone can say, I'm God. But what is the use? And fools will accept the so-called God. But the intelligent people will accept Lord Ramchandra as God, they'll accept Krishna as God, because of their wonderful activities. Uttama Shloka Vikram. He's glorified by wonderful activities. So, and kings will come to this Setu Bandha and they'll glorify. Even great kings will admit that Lord Ramchandra is super powerful. All right, now there's some questions today. Comments, questions, something.
Yes. Hello, Mike. First of all, thank you very much for coming to Marathon for a visit. Nice to see you again. This famous bridge was considered for...
What's What's
Since
that?
a long time, this bridge built by monks in Sri Ramachandra was considered like mythology for a long time. Then the NASA satellites, they took some pictures and now they discovered there in the ocean between Lanka and India, the bridge is still there.
Gotcha.
Like a proof that Ramayana is not a fiction or
Some archaeological evidence.
yeah.
There's just a trouble with archaeology that if we go by archaeology, sometimes they'll agree with us, sometimes they'll disagree with us. Sometimes they'll prove and sometimes they'll disprove the Shastric conclusions. Therefore, we rely on Shastra as being self-evident. And if archaeology chimes in and says that it's right, then that's also good. But we don't need them to prove or disprove. Yes?
Just comment about the archaeological, as you just mentioned.
No. If you
Yes.
speak clearly
Yeah.
and loudly, otherwise don't bother.
Okay. As mentioned by the ecological facts, as we mentioned, we don't consider them so much because the dimension and the length is matches if we consider the NASA and what is mentioned in the Shastra. In Srimad Bhagavatam, as mentioned, the size and the length of the bridge.
Did somebody get that?
We don't consider so much these archaeological points because we see also that there is a contradiction between the dimensions given by Shastra and
Okay. Shastra gives one dimension and NASA gives another dimension. Yes, that's the trouble with empiric evidence. It's unreliable. Sometimes it agrees, sometimes disagrees. Therefore we depend more on Shastra. Something else? Was that a question or not a question?
It is interesting that the stones are still there, the floating stones, right there in Rameshwaram. They have a temple of floating stones.
In Rameshwara they have a temple of floating stones.
I've
Means
seen
what?
them. They float, and it's stones.
How do you know you've seen?
Huh?
Have you seen?
Yes.
a
They're
temple?
floating in water. They have tanks with water, and they're floating there. And you,
I've been to Rameshwaram. I don't think I've seen such a thing.
no, I've been there.
Temple of floating stones.
Yeah, it's there. It's far out.
So may you speak a little bit about Kirtan standard as was established by Srila Prabhupada?
Kirtan standards.
You make some observations.
Well, some observation. Yeah, Mahajana Yana Gatasa Kanta. We should follow the path of the acharyas and not invent things and concoct things. That's the sum and substance of it. I've done a seminar on Kirtan standards. It's available on YouTube. And gradually, and I have a draft manuscript for a book. Gradually it's being published on my website, jswami.info. Little pieces. Gradually it's ending up. Sakalaneya Mahata Yoga Nashta Parantapa. Over time, something gets introduced, something else gets introduced, something added, something subtracted, and pretty soon Yoga Nashta, everything's lost. So we should follow. That's the point. Not just, yes, we should follow the acharyas. Anything more about that? Yes? No? Maybe?
question about like God. He makes his wonderful activities to attract souls and to be glorified. But also his devotees, they also make wonderful activities. For example, all our acharyas, they were like extremely extraordinary.
Hold on a second. Yes?
They were austere, they like showed so much austerities and they chant so many holy names, but they already have love for the God. Why they come here and do that? Because they cannot be examples because we cannot do the same, yeah? But from another side they show such example to be glorified, or why they show such.
The wonderful examples that are over our head are still wonderful examples. Haridas Thakur chanted so many rounds in a day. So we can't do that, but at least we can think that if he chanted so many, I should chant at least 16. Not that, let me imitate Haridas Thakur. There's two things, anusar and anunkar. Anunkar means imitating the outward form, and anusar means catching the essence. So there's no point in imitating Haridas Thakur or the Goswami. They're in a class by themselves. But we can try to follow according to our small position. So like Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, done so many wonderful things. So we can't expect that, I'll also match that, I'll surpass that. But we can follow. That's all.
Just follow, like, why so much hostility? For
I can't
us,
hear you.
we cannot.
I can't hear you. Speak louder, please.
Why for us? Why they show us that much?
Why did you? Can you speak consistently louder? Is that possible for you? Rather than sometimes loud and sometimes loud. Could you speak consistently loud?
Yeah. Why they show this much for us? Like, if we can follow something, yeah, but in this amount we cannot. Why they show it?
It's not just for you. You may not be able to follow.
Yeah.
Others may follow. Previous times people could follow were people who have those, what would you say? Qualities can follow. It doesn't mean that we can't follow, no one can follow. But we follow these. I already answered that they did something wonderful and we should, according to our size. If Napoleon did something wonderful, then other leaders of France should also do something wonderful. They may not be Napoleon, but they'll do something according to their size. Those everywhere, there's great heroes, there are great examples. It's not that we hold them up and say, all right, you match this, but you can follow. This is otherwise not that we follow some road. The road sets the standards. He drinks so many beers, he does so many things. So let's follow that. No, here's the example. So you try to follow that example. Not that you have to match it, not that you can imitate. But here's the direction. Here's the direction. Hanuman. Other monkeys couldn't do what he did, but they could contribute something according to their capability. Even a squirrel could kick in some dust. So not that if the squirrel tried to be Hanuman, that would be ridiculous. But But he can kick in some dust. Hanuman's carrying boulders, let me do something. Not that you have to try to match the, in the Christian tradition, St. Peter, St. Paul, not that every Christian will do what they did, but they'll be inspired by reading about the lives of the great Christian saints. Not that to be inspiring, they have to do something that we can also match. But we can appreciate also wonderfully they did. So let me at least follow this path. In science, people are inspired by great scientists like Newton and Einstein. So the example is inspiring, but not that if I can't be Newton, I can't be Einstein, then let me not be a scientist. Or let me, but just appreciate it. That, they did something great. According to my size, let me follow what I can do. Not that, as a scientist said, what was the use of Einstein? He made these theories that nobody else can figure out or could come up with. So he should be thrown out of science because he was too far above everyone else. What was the use of him? Brilliant. Maybe no one can match him. But if I'm a scientist, let me contribute something. Yes.
So I think it was on Friday, we were speaking on this verse in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was explaining that because we are very dull-minded, we need the punishment of the material energy to push us.
We need what?
The punishment of the material energy.
Punishment of the material energy, yes.
To push us forward, otherwise we just sleep because we're dull. And on the other side, it seems that when we don't have very much spiritual realization, when the mind is too disturbed, then we can't. It's hard to take shelter in that situation. So it's like the area in which we can perform devotional service properly is very small. So how can we make it bigger? So on one side we're not sleeping, and the other side we're not too disturbed.
The area in which we can perform devotional service is very small. If we're suffering too much, we can't serve, and if we're not suffering enough, there's not an impetus. That's the question. One thing is, apatiyata. Devotional service can be performed under any circumstance. Not that if things get too rough, I can't perform devotional service. Even if they get rough, still, I can serve. Apatiyata. That's one thing. If my mind becomes too not that I say, well, if my mind becomes too disturbed, I can't perform devotional service. Therefore, at that point, let me give up devotional service. No, at that point, let me control my mind. It may be difficult during the Graham, but let me do it. Not that I say, oh, things are getting, then it becomes like one is a quitter. He easily quits. Things get rough, and he just says, oh, I'm out. Even if things become terribly rough, one should remain fixed. Let me serve Krishna. That's the example of the acharyas. Haridas Thakur came at so many marketplaces. Don't give up chanting. So give it up. Or when things become very easy, we say, that was just for when I was in trouble.
Yes, my question is, sometimes it get rough, and but we can make it even more difficult for us. Sometimes just I think that my experience even is that even if it's hard, just to accept that it's hard and that we cannot push it through the difficulties, we cannot push it by our own effort, or it's not so hard, in fact.
Yeah, we have to surrender to Krishna. By our own power, what can we do? But if Krishna helps, then everything becomes possible. Let us surrender to Krishna. And we're going to have to die, that's pretty rough. So when death comes, we say, oh, this is too rough. We give up Krishna consciousness and we fail the test. We have to, that's the test. Everything's tested at the time of death, and death can be rough. So not that I say, well, when I was healthy I could chant, now I can't chant. Now I can't think of Krishna, now I can't do anything. Somehow or other, let me surrender to Krishna.
Yesterday I heard you say that sannyasis, they have more fun. And, well...
Supposed to be.
Yeah, and you say it as a joke, but I don't think it was a joke.
All the sannyasis have more fun.
Sannyasis have more, they have more fun.
Yes. Yes.
Is it because they surrender more easily?
Because they don't have wives.
Seriously?
Absolutely seriously. Are wives expensive? Yes, wives are expensive. Compared to just living on your own, as soon as you have a wife, the expenditure increases substantially. And how are you going to meet those expenditures? Now you have to work. Is work fun?
I don't know.
You don't know. Do you go to work just for the fun of it?
Maybe some people,
Maybe some people, send them my way.
I don't know, I really don't know.
Most of us know, those who are working know, that if they didn't pay me, I wouldn't work. We see this all the time. There's strikes, there's protests, there's this, that. Why? You're not paying us enough. If you're not paying me enough, I'm not going to work. So you can know from that people work, not because it's fun, but because they need money. They're working. As soon as I say I love my work, but if they stop paying me, I'll give up that work that I say I love. There were, the bus drivers, the school teachers, the people who are at the store, the shopkeepers, the people who are answering the telephone. They're not doing that because they love their work. They're doing that because they need the money.
Yes, but in spiritual life, you can get married also. We can.
Future life, that's a better time to do it. Do it in your future life. In this life, skip it. If one can marry or not marry, I'm just pointing out that if you get married, then you can't avoid work. Sannyasis don't have to work. They don't have to go and they don't have to think, where's money, how will I pay for the rent, how will I pay for the food, how will I pay for the children's education, how will I pay for saris, how will I pay for bangles, how will I pay for this, how will I pay for that. They don't think about all that. But the householder has to think about all those things. And for that he has to work. And work is not fun. And sometimes he loses his job and he has to go be in anxiety about what to do.
And there is no example of marriage that is free from this. No marriage can be free from that. House-holding and everything.
Well, if you can look for something like that, you know, a wife that doesn't cost anything. And fish with wings, and pigs with wings, and other such creatures that don't exist. So maybe you can find a wife that doesn't cost anything. But wives cost money, and when there's a wife, there'll be children. They cost money. No such thing as free children. And especially, they always need new shoes. Just one example, they grow and then you buy them new shoes, and then 4 months later they need new shoes again, and then 6 months later another set of new shoes, and then they grow up and they stop growing. But now they want, Nike, athletic, $200 shoes. And they're not happy, and they get less, and this and that. And then so many other anxieties associated with children. No, we would like married life where there's only fun, where there's a nice smiling lady who always wants to make me happy and provides nice food and sense gratification at no cost. Great deal, right? But that's not how the world works. Even if my expectations are modest, I'm not looking for sense gratification, just a nice companion. It's not free. Householder life means accepting responsibility. And the responsibility is responsibility. Responsibility means you have to provide the money, you have to provide protection, you have to provide. Otherwise you're irresponsible. No, I only came for the fun. I didn't. Now it's costing money, I'm leaving. When I married her, she was healthy. Now she's sick, and the doctor bills are more than I can tolerate. I'm leaving. You can't do that. Right?
No, it's not nice.
Then you're shameless. So if you're accepting the companionship, the service, then you have to accept the responsibility. And you can't say, well, no, when it was cheap it was okay, but now that the cost has gone up. No. For the sannyasis, you don't care.
Thank you very much.
The soul loses independence in contact with the matter. I wanted to ask you if you could comment on that.
Soul loses his independence in contact with matter, just like a man loses his independence in contact with a wife. The Purusha loses independence in connection with Prakriti. As long as you're brahmachari, you're independent. You don't have to. But as soon as the wife is there, now the living entity. And why? Because he wants to enjoy it. Why get married? Well, there's some enjoyment there. But for that enjoyment, he has to sacrifice his independence. He has to work hard. He has to take on so many anxieties and responsibilities. So the living entity, he thinks, why do I have to be Krishna conscious? I can enjoy on my own. I can enjoy enjoy the resources of the material life. But when he tries to enjoy, he becomes entangled. And then, of course, he's not independent in any case, but he becomes, instead of being dependent on Krishna, now he's dependent on. Yes.
So this discussion about wife, I'm a little curious. I mean, is it? I guess usually it is out of love. All this responsibility is taken. So I guess it is like a deeper satisfaction of the heart to actually take this responsibility. If it's out of love for the wife, love for the children, like that. So meaningful, can be meaningful. Again, I have not much experience, but the only experience I have with girlfriend, it is the deepest love I've experienced in my life, for sure.
One becomes associated with a woman and wants to marry that woman.
Yes.
And then, because of love or attraction or attachment or whatever kind of connection he has with the woman,
yes,
now he has to take on these responsibilities.
Yes.
And why is he doing it? Yes, for love or for... But what he accepts for the sake of love is hardship.
Yeah.
What he accepts for the sake of love is hardship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole world is working. Why are they working? Like mules, like asses, like donkeys. Because of love.
Yes. So that's meaning. From my own experience is that it was more meaningful to have this kind of duties when I had a girlfriend. And my own experience is that it was also, I mean, it was difficult when I had a girlfriend. I tried also to take responsibility, but it was also very meaningful.
What does it mean?
The feeling of the connection with her, you know, it's just, I feel that maybe it's my Maya, but I feel that I need to...
It creates a sense of meaning.
Yes, it was the deepest
I'm
meaning I have
working for
experienced.
my wife, and my wife will feel happy when I provide this and that. So why am I working? My home gives meaning to my life.
Yes.
The only trouble is that it's temporary.
Yes.
And not consistently rewarding also. And sometimes it provides meaning, and sometimes it just provides headaches. And often more headache than meaning. Sometimes that feeling is there when a man takes responsibility for a woman and feels good. You look at these wedding pictures, and there's a man, and he's got a wife now, and he's beaming with pride. So he's done something. But take some snapshots a few years later, and some of the glow has worn off. Now it's hard work, and when he comes home, the wife, this is my problem, that is my problem, this trouble, that trouble, what are you going to do about it, what should we do, this, that. It's not just, and that's the nature of anything in the material world that we want to enjoy. You buy a house, nice, I have a house. Then there's taxes, there's repairs, there's broken pipes, there's thieves, there's this, there's that. So many anxieties for the sake of the house, and then finally you become, although you're attached to the house, finally you get kicked out to leave this world, leave the house behind. And I'm attached to the house, I may have to come back as a rat in the house.
Is it more conducive to my spiritual life to just be afraid of getting falling in love?
Is it more conducive to your spiritual life to be afraid of falling in love? No, it's more conducive to your spiritual life to be attracted to falling in love with Krishna.
It's very difficult. It seems so abstract.
It may be difficult, but for that difficulty you get something permanent. For this other difficulty, you get something temporary.
I accept that. True.
Now that said, we have so many brahmacharis, so many sannyasis, and so many householders also. So we have, what's the word, scope. If one feels more comfortable in householder life, then he can serve Krishna as a householder. We don't say no householder life. But it's good to know what you're getting into, at least as far as possible, because no one really knows before they dive in. But at least if one has one's eyes open, one knows that it's not just a joyride, as they say. It's not just happy, 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 because then you'll be most cruelly disappointed. You have to know. There'll be good, there'll be bad, and I'll have to accept these responsibilities. I'm taking a vow that whether I like it or not, I'll perform these duties. At some point it may be very unrewarding, but you've accepted the responsibility, you have to stick with it.
I'm sorry. Sad to put this with. I'm sorry.
And serve Krishna. And serve Krishna. That's the point. If brahmachari life is inconvenient or uncongenial, then get married and serve Krishna. But once you've gotten married, you can't just say, oh, I don't like it, let me dump my wife. That's shameless. But at the mature stage, then one is ordered, now you leave family life. Don't remain attached forever. Yes.
Yes, even get married and taking responsibilities in Krishna conscious life is also considered to be devotional service, right?
Yes, if you take up responsibilities in householder life for serving Krishna, then that's devotional service. Just like having children, that's counted as devotional service when the children are devotees. Otherwise, no score. Simply householder life, I got married for the service of Krishna, but if there's no service, then what is it? Not just that I said, yes, married life is service to Krishna, so I get married and then I don't serve. If I'm married, then now I have to, our service should double. Husband and wife together should serve Krishna. That we were feeling inconvenient as on our own. Now we've gotten together to serve Krishna, so okay, let's get on with business. Not just that we're married, so let's do this and let's do this and let's visit Rome and let's visit this place and let's visit that place and let's spend money here and let's spend money here. Very seriously, husband and wife should dedicate themselves to service of Krishna. Then this good is brahmacharya. Create Alright, shall we stop here? Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Krishna, Krishna.